Geoff Schwartz played in the NFL for 8 years. His brother Mitchell, of course, they wrote a book called Eat My Schwartz. He loves his Pac-12 football.
Yes.
And the Big Boys Club this Sunday, Fox Sports YouTube, 7:30 Eastern, Big Boys Club. All right, so the draft is coming.
Yes.
It's a lot of guys like you. It's linemen that don't get love. It's a lot of linemen. The quarterback class, it's not great. No, I had a Super Bowl winning general manager tell me, a guy I trust implicitly, Kenny Pickett's a third-round player.
Yeah, the quarterbacks aren't going to have many first-round grades. You might take them early because you want a quarterback, but the first-round grade thing is not going to be there.
My two GMs feel the exact same thing about Willis. He is worth a first-round pick. Remember, he only played 2 Division I teams, and I don't think he threw a touchdown pass again. He played Ole Miss and Coastal Carolina and didn't throw a touchdown pass. So they're like, he is, people said Lamar Jackson was raw, but he was in the ACC. He was dialing up guys all the time.
The thing with Malik Willis, though, is that his size, right? Like, people compare him to, like, he has the physical traits of a big quarterback, but he's 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like, Josh Allen had physical traits, but he's also 6'4". Justin Herbert had physical traits, but he's 6'6". Like, now you have the big arm, but in a smaller body. That doesn't translate as well. So there's a lot of projection with the quarterbacks. So if you take one early on, you're just hoping they're going to be great.
Okay, so a lot of these teams, the Jets have a couple picks. Philadelphia, there's a lot of teams, Giants. A lot of people have a couple picks. Do you like Evan Neal for Alabama? Now, I don't like his feet.
He doesn't finish as well, so he gets into blocks really well, and then guys kind of come off of him late, but he's the best pass protector. If you want a pass protector day one, he's your guy.
Alabama left tackle, Evan Neal.
Yes, and he's played right tackle before and guard as well. So if you're a team that has a left tackle, maybe the Giants want to keep Andrew Thomas at left tackle, then you put Evan Neal at right tackle.
Yeah.
It's the finishing part of him. He gets into blocks really well. And then at the very end of blocks, guys kind of fall off of him at times. This class is very deep at the top, but it's not as good as, let's say, like Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater last year.
Okay.
They're very good, but just not, I think, those two guys.
You get very sensitive with your Oregon players.
Yes.
Because you played there. Kayvon Thibodeaux, he's got a brand. He's a little small.
What's wrong with the brand? I don't understand this. This is what the game is now. Guys have brands.
Well,
that to me feels like the people I've talked to that scout him don't worry about that.
What do they worry about?
I think they worry about just his ability to bend sometimes. And here's my thing: like, we use excuses for other players that we don't use for other players, right? Which I don't really get, right? So, for example, in Oregon's defense, he wasn't asked very often to go rush the passer. He dropped back into coverage. He played inside on rundowns. He played Sam linebacker. And for other guys, we use those excuses. Oh, he wasn't asked to do very much. When he was asked to go get the quarterback, he can do that. And so I'm excited to see what he can do in the NFL. He's got to work on his hands. That's a real thing he's got to work on. His hands are not very good right now for an elite pass rusher, but he has the best first step, and he can close the quarterback really well. So I'm excited to see him in a defense where he's allowed to rush the passer from start to finish.
Okay, one more draft thing.
Yeah.
When you look at the Michigan kid, Adrian Hutchinson, would he have been hard to block?
He has good hands in college or the NFL.
Well, I mean,
in college, he's advanced for a college pass rusher.
Okay, but that doesn't mean he has a huge ceiling in the NFL.
No, I think he's the most ready guy now
to play.
But KT and Travon Walker from Georgia have a more athletic upside. I think, like, just can get better. Hutchinson is what he is now, which is good. If you're Jacksonville, you take him, you put him there.
He starts.
You'll get production right away.
Yep.
You won't have to worry about that. But is he as good as? Will he ever be an elite pass rusher? I don't know.
Now, why do you always talk about hands? Like with Adrian Hutchinson, you're talking hands. Why is that a big deal?
Well, that's what I mean. If you can knock an offensive lineman's hands off, then you get to the quarterback quicker, right? I mean, it's as simple as that can be. And Hutchinson's issue too is his arms are a little bit shorter than other defensive ends. And so, when if I can get my hands on you first, I can win the rep, right? If his hands are shorter, that means I can get mine quicker onto him, essentially. But if you can knock mine off, if I go to punch you and you knock my hand off, you get around the corner quicker if my feet and kind of balance aren't there. So there's a lot of things that happen with your hands. And if you can't stress me as an offensive tackle, really 3 ways, outside, inside, or through me, I don't have to worry about as much. And I think with Kayvon Thibodeaux, he doesn't really have the outside pass rush like swipe move yet, which we see so popular now in the NFL, that kind of double chop thing. It's very important to be able to knock the hands off of someone.
All right, the center for Iowa is my most undervalued player. I said this 100 times in the entire draft. So Iowa does really well developing NFL players, like really well, considering they win about 7-8 games a year. So Tyler Linderbaum is the center. And here's what I hear. A little small, but great high school wrestler, great hands.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to guy that's going to fall to like 24, and somebody's going to get a 7-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, he's small for center. He's like Jeff Saturday, Ryan Khalil, little Jason Kelsey in there. He's an excellent run blocker when he gets on, as you see right here. When he latches on, you're done. But the center position in the draft, especially early in the draft, is kind of a luxury position, right? Most times, and there's a center draft in the first round, 5 every 10 years about. And we saw last year, Creed Humphrey, the best center, was a second-round draft pick, right? So it's a more of a luxury item. If you look at the teams kind of 1 through 28, they don't really need a center. They don't need a center. They could use a center, but they don't need a center. And that's why I think he might fall out of the first round, even though he has a first-round grade, is, if you're Cincinnati, you just signed 2 offensive linemen. One of them can play center. Are you taking Linderbaum at 31? I don't know. But otherwise, again, it's a very luxury item for teams in the first round. He's good, though. He can play. He's got first-round grade.
You know what? People don't think they need barbells at home, but you get them.
No.
Workout room at home. You don't get these babies just going to the club.
But would you take a pass rusher over a center?
Come on. Now, that's the second most valuable thing in the league.
But that's the question, right? If you're a team at the bottom of the first round and there's a couple pass rushers that have fallen.
I know a car is more important than my
that's what the draft is about, right? The draft is about value.
Do you have dumbbells at home?
No, I go to the gym. I like leaving the house.
All right.
Yeah.
I love my wife so much, I don't. Anyway, okay, let's talk some NFL things here. Okay. So this is my theory on Deebo Samuel.
Yes.
So Kittle is such a physical player. You're not going to get 17 games out of him. I'm not going to sign my other offensive player.
Yes.
Because similarly, he's a physical player. And that matters. The Rams' best players, Stafford doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Cooper doesn't. Donald doesn't. Ramsey doesn't. Bobby Wagner doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I got Trent Williams is older. Garoppolo can't stay healthy. Kittle gets hurt. I'm thinking about this going, it would be painful. I don't know if I can make him a top-of-the-market receiving talent.
Well, he wants to supposedly leave to just be more of a wide receiver anyway, so that might not be a fit because he doesn't want to play as much running back. But here's my thing with him. Can we get 2 years of this? So I just 1 for 1 season. Right, the production's for one season.
I could argue the production was for 8 games.
Yeah, it was about the back half of the season and the playoffs, and so I just think the Niners are like, hey, can we get half a season more of this before we give you $24 million, $20 million? I think that's a fair thing for the Niners to say. I get why guys want to get paid. I hope every player gets paid as much as they want, as all the time. But I get the Niners being like, can we see a little more of this?
He only played 6 games a couple years ago. 6 or 7.
Yeah, and so his first year he was okay as a young player. He was good.
Okay.
And then he was hurt, and then last year he exploded, obviously. He had 1,400 yards receiving. But it's just I think they want to see 1 more year of this before they pay him.
Okay, I said this about Kyler Murray. And I use Aaron and Kyler the same. Is that they're both a little aloof.
Yeah.
Their grievances go public.
Yes.
They're not as verbal as you would love or communicative. They're not Steph Curry else come off the bench. They're not Mahomes. They're so talented, I'd pay both. But I think what Arizona is saying here is, listen, man, you're a little small. Like Aaron, end of the year, you're not the same player.
Correct.
I get Arizona's a little trapped. I get Arizona saying, okay, you're small to begin with. You have to move to be in the playoff game. He didn't want to run. He's not the same player.
Yeah.
So where do you land on that? You can't let him go.
It's an interesting spot in the NFL because you really can't win unless you have one of these quarterbacks. The thing with Kyler though is where do you put him? 12th best in the NFL, 10 to 12, somewhere around there.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
but you're gonna pay him the top guy.
It's very hard.
That's the part they're in right now. Plus, I think it's fair to say, hey, look. And this is Cliff Kingsbury's MO, by the way, from the time he was at Tech all the way now. They're bad in the second half of the season. Good in the first half, bad in the second half.
No, does anybody know? It's very, by the way, very true. Kingsbury's career dovetails at the end of seasons.
It's wild how this keeps happening. And Murray, by the way, is part of that the last 2 years, right? He's played well in the first half, gets a little beat up, plays poorly in the second half. And I think that Arizona probably says, hey, look, we can't pay you, or we don't want to pay you $40 million if you're not going to play well in the back half of the season. And again, is that Cliff Kingsbury's fault? Is it Kyler's fault? I don't know, but Kingsbury's done this entire career. I mean, the 6 years at Tech and now the 3 years in Arizona, he gets worse in the back half of the season. And I think Arizona, to your point, they're kind of stuck. They have to pay him, but they probably don't want to pay him what Deshaun Watson's getting, which is what everyone is going to want now. Lamar Jackson's going to say, hey, I want 231. I want it all guaranteed, just like Deshaun Watson has. And that changed the game for quarterbacks.
Sometimes there are things in life. I said this earlier, that Brady was not only great, he was profitable.
Yes.
He gave you 3 home games a year.
Yeah.
So and didn't take top of the market money.
Right.
He's the most profitable quarterback for a team in league history. I won't take Mahomes isn't quite there, but you're going to get.
He's getting close.
You get. So I look at Kyler and I'm like, in that division, we're not going to make a profit off him. We're probably not going to get home games for 10 years.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like he's going to play 10 more years. If I get 7, I'd be totally happy. In that division, getting a home field, which McVay's in the division, Shanahan, sometimes you have to look at it and just go, listen, we're going to win a bunch of games with him.
Yeah.
We don't know if we're going to win a Super Bowl. We're going to win a bunch of games with him. We're going to drive to the stadium every Sunday for 7 years knowing we can win today. And that's worth a lot of money.
But if you pay someone $45 million at quarterback, you want a Super Bowl, though, I would imagine. That's the issue that I think Arizona and other teams run into is you're going to have to pay these guys X amount now because of the new deals, but can you win a championship with that? But you also are going to be really bad without him. So to your point, at least you have a chance to win each week.
Yeah, I also think if you're going to overpay anybody, that's the position. You don't want an overpaid safety, Seattle, or a right tackle. I mean,
pay the right tackles.
I mean, that essentially,
yes.
We did this the other day. In the NFL, if you look at what Cleveland's doing, they're doing what the Rams are doing.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson, a corner, and a receiver get their money. The Rams just figured out how to pay 4 key positions.
Yes.
The Seahawks paid 2 safeties and a slot receiver.
Yeah.
The Bears play a safety, a linebacker, and a center.
And both the Rams and Browns both have left tackles, too. I mean, Whitworth is retired now, but they have all the main positions. The Rams have done a great job. They just have no depth, right? If 1 or 2 guys get hurt, that's it for them. But it already worked. It worked in 1 year, basically, right? We got Stafford. We won a championship. And they're just retooling along the same lines. Like, they're going different than other teams are, but it's paid off for them because they've kept everyone healthy.
All right, Geoff Schwartz. Catch the Big Boys Club this Sunday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on the Fox Sports YouTube. Also, what'd you make of the USFL?
I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch.
Did you bet it?
I did, yes. I live in a state that's, yes, but I was 2-0, so I'll take that.
You were 2-0 in USFL games?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
I just picked the best offense. I looked at the trends from the AAF and the XFL in week 1. The best offensive coaches and quarterbacks won, like big, huge. So I bet the 2 teams that I thought had the best coaches and quarterbacks. 2-0.
You're very savvy. You make a lot of money gambling, don't you?
It depends on the sport.
I hit a 3-teamer FanDuel last week. I gave it to the America.
Yeah, for free? Yeah.
On the last play of the game, Marcus Smart had his 6 assists. The last play of the game.
That's why wagering is fun, right? You sit on the TV and you just watch like games I would not watch otherwise to the very last second. I remember the LSU A&M 6 overtime game. I was up till 2 a.m. figuring out ways in my head that like LSU could cover the 3. Just for that reason, just to see who could cover. I didn't care otherwise. I'm whatever.
Listen, we're all doing this for fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's do it.
Geoff Schwartz. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.